Hey, I'm Amethyst Goddess from InAlignment Ministries, and I wanted to check in with y'all regarding alignment. Okay, so I had a dope question earlier today on my IG. I did an ask a question session. I like to do that from time to time on my stories, and this one particular person asked basically, what are the symptoms that will indicate you not being in alignment? And I really think that's important for us to know, because sometimes we think like we're on the up and up, and just because we're feeling like high vibes for the day, we think we're being positive, and we meditated and we walked away when we could have snapped or popped off on someone or whatever it may be. We think sometimes that we're doing better at times when we're not. We kind of like play ourselves in a sense where we kind of like, oh, that wasn't that serious, or that didn't really happen that way. It wasn't that bad. And sometimes it is that serious. In other instances, we don't know how to gauge whether or not we're in alignment. Uh, we'll we'll get frustrated with the circumstances or the outcomes that we were expecting a different result, and sometimes it doesn't pan out the way that we expected, and it's not necessarily because of the list that you created, A, B, C, D, E, all the way to Z, saying that, hey, I did this right, I did that right. What could possibly be the issue? So I wanted to touch base with you all in regards to how to identify the symptoms of not being in alignment. And alignment is simply being in a space where you're able to accept and receive what spirit has for you, what your purpose is, what your higher self or what your soul is calling for or to be fulfilled in within this lifetime. Um, it's alignment to whatever is conducive to your energy at that moment. So if it's purposeful and meaningful for you to separate from others and be in a space where you're with yourself and dealing with self, alignment would be you walking away from those relationships or situations that no longer serve you. Or you can just say, hey, I need to tap out for a little moment. I need some time to myself. And you do that. When you're not honoring yourself, you're out of alignment. And yourself, meaning your energy, your spirit, your higher self. I'm speaking to all of the layers or the many facets that we possess. Okay, so in this lifetime, I'm including your soul, your spirit, like your higher self, even for what you just came here to fulfill and experience, because it's not always like deep stuff where, okay, am I supposed to be uh preaching to people? Am I supposed to be this healer with all these crazy and radical gifts or and stuff like that? Sometimes it's not as big as that. Sometimes it's just as simple as you came to experience learning how to heal your inner child, learning how to advocate or speak for the inner child that was suffering in this lifetime and past lifetimes, or speaking up for yourself as a whole. It may be something as simple as establishing boundaries, not only for people to not intrude on your space, but for you to have enough respect for yourself to respect your own space. So I don't want you to think of it always as big as being a healer, although we all have healing aspects within ourselves to help others and assist the collective as far as being better. But I want you to focus on those day to day, those practical things, those everyday moments that you experience that you kind of dismiss as something that is not that serious. Okay. So there's some key indications just based on my study with human design, as well as just my observation and my experiences with my energy and with others. I have been able to identify those key symptoms that will help you discover, okay, I'm not in alignment. Let me recalibrate myself right now. So One can be like resentful and bitter or bitter. So, say for instance, if you're not in a space where you feel like you've met your productivity, and even that is a whole nother story about productivity, but I'm just going to leave it at that, or you think that you were supposed to accomplish a great deal of things by the age that you are, or by the time you were X, Y, and Z. There may be circumstances where you feel like you have these bomb ideas, you have these bomb gifts, you want to be seen, and you feel like you're not getting your just due or your credit, and people are not acknowledging you or recognizing your gifts and your talents, and respecting your craft or your time, respecting um, just how brilliant you are, and you feel like you slept on in a sense. And I'm not gonna lie, in certain instances I have felt that way, and I had to really step back and like check myself and say, whoever needs me at that given moment, they will come across my information, they will um, book me, they will come to my sessions, they will participate in my activities or whatever, not to focus on certain things. I I'm in a different lane than what everybody else is focusing on. I'm not that hustler type, or that um, have 5 and 6 jobs type. My energy is not made up. I'm a different makeup than everyone else, and I had to learn myself through that process, and I'm still learning that um, my path is going to be different than other people's paths. How I show up is going to be different than how other people show up. The recognition will come in due time. First, you have to recognize yourself and make sure you are acknowledging the parts of you that you sleep on yourself a lot of times. You don't give yourself enough credit for the progress you've made because you feel like it's not enough. And in a sense, that kind of downplay on the gratitude aspect that you should always have in your day-to-day, where you're appreciative and you're thankful for the progress that you've made up until this point. A lot of us are hard on ourselves, and we don't give ourselves enough grace or credit to say, hey, you've done a good job. Given the circumstances that you've been in, you still kept your head up. And even if you did fall, you still are like here, and you're alive and you're well. And even if you don't have everything in your possession that you desire, you're here. You're present. You're in your right mind. You have the function of your limbs. You have food to eat, shelter. Like, you're better off than where you were last year. You've made far more progress, and you speak more for yourself than you've ever done in your whole entire life. So certain things you need to recognize within yourself before it shows up in the physical from someone else. Remember, first and foremost, the recognition starts with you. So some of you may be projectors, and you want to look that up. If you're interested in human design, I'm not extremely proficient in it, but you can go on the internet and research free human design chart. And basically, it's just like astrology. If you're familiar with your birth chart through the astrology, you need to know your time, the exact time, date, and place of birth um, for yourself. And it will come up with a chart, and it should have a breakdown of all the different things. If it doesn't, you need to buy a book. Like, go on Amazon or do your own research as far as books that are out there for human design. You can just do your internet search and break down your chart yourself, which I have done on a lot of instances. There's apps out there that are available. I noticed the ones that are really good, you have to pay for. So sometimes you have to pay for knowledge, you know what I mean? So see it as an investment to learn more about your energy, okay? Now, also, there's a thing where you have to learn balance with being even a projector, for an example, where not being recognized and then you're finally recognized. Sometimes that recognition is not the best. And what I mean by that is, we can be recognized by thousands, millions, billions of people, but it has to be an energy match. So some people can recognize your gifts, can recognize your talents, can recognize your purpose, and see your light, but they will try to manipulate it. They will try to downplay it. They will even harm you in a sense, because they're not the energetic match to you. They see that, oh, this person is really good. They're really talented, and sometimes they manipulate the situation, knowing that you desire recognition, because people can read energy too, even if they may not have all the terminology and all that, or spiritual uh, know-hows. Some people can play on your need or desire for recognition and will pump you up like, oh man, you're so good, this, that, and the third. And then they'll try to tell you how to run your business. Then they will try to tell you how you should give them a discount, or if you charge a certain amount, they feel like, who are you to charge that amount, or what have you. So different things that may come into play where, you know, that opportunity, or that invitation may not be the right fit. And you have to learn to discern which invitations you should accept. Okay. So it's really based on your discernment, it's based on what you feel, and it's not going to always be logical, even though your energy may naturally want to lean towards what's logical, what makes sense, what adds up. Sometimes it's a feeling, something that you have to hear, like feedback. You don't get feedback from others per se. It's more so you're hearing yourself and answering those questions yourself. The people I'm talking to, you usually talk to people and you may even ask for advice, but you're really not even looking for advice. You just really want a listening ear, and then you'll answer your question yourself, or they'll give you advice, but you'll be like, I already know what I'm going to do, thanks. I just needed a listening ear or whatever. Once you actually learn your energy, you find someone that's a safe space. Well, you don't have to go on the search, they'll show up, but a person that's a safe space where you can actually let out what you need to let out, so that you can hear what's been going on as far as your circumstance, your situation, a major decision you have to make, or whatever. And then you can hear it, and it's like, it's just kind of like, you're really talking to yourself in a sense, and you draw your own conclusions at the end of the day. Someone doesn't necessarily need to tell you the answers, you'll know. So those, I kind of touched on projectors only because that's something that I'm learning within myself, and it makes sense with me as far as my energy. It resonates with me. So I challenge you to check it out, because you may like human design. It's like a culmination, or it's not a culmination, it's a few sciences put together. So like Chinese, astrology, like it's just a whole bunch put into one. And I think even Kabbalistic ideas. I think I may be pronouncing that right. Dealing with the cabal. So this gnat is bothering me, but let me ignore that. um, so in regards to energies that are reflectors, or people that, I'm gonna give you just a couple of ones that I know for sure. But I know reflectors, their sign is, or their indication that they're not in alignment, is disappointment. So disappointment in others, disappointing in themselves, feeling like they're not really in alignment with just their nature, and trying to identify who they are. You can do further research on that. Projector, again, this is what I'm learning because it's my makeup. But I can just tell you a few things that you can find within your energy, even if you don't want to deal with human design. Because I know there's manifestors and all of that. Their thing is anger. So some of you, and I'll just do a general or a collective key indicators of not being in alignment: bitterness, being resentful, being tired or exhausted. Because what happens is when you're overworking yourself, or you're out of alignment as far as how your energy works, you have a tendency to overwork yourself or underwork yourself. And generally speaking, it's overworking yourself because you're comparing yourself against others, first and foremost. You're comparing yourself against yourself because you're looking at how you should be at a certain place in your life. And that could be either comparison on the outside, or just on the inside of you just feeling like you should do more. And there should be more. And you should have more. And you should see more. Usually with those challenges, you are overexerting yourself. Okay, you're exerting yourself in your field, as far as whatever your business or your studies are in. You're not recognizing too the gifts that you have. You may even dumb down the ones that you have and think that they're not that significant and they're not that big of a deal, where you feel like say for instance, as simple as you love cooking, like you love cooking, you'll do that day, night, whatever. Somebody can call you, like one of your girlfriends or friends will say, hey, can you cook me up that special whatever, whatever, and you be like, I would love to, say less. And you're cooking up a storm and it's really, really good. But you don't even see the beauty of your creations. You're just thinking you're just doing something because you like to eat. But in actuality, there could be something that you can tap into that could be not only pleasurable for you, but you can actually do this for a living. You can actually make money off of it. And it's not always about money, although financial stability is very important, especially if you're going to live in today's society. Money is important. So you could do something, you can do something you love for the rest of your life, or for however extended amount of time that you decide, without feeling like it's actually work. And you won't even be worried about the money to an extent, because you'll love it so much and you get recognized for it so much that you ain't even worried about it. You know you already paid and you already secured within yourself. So some of you may even feel bitter or angry in regards to your circumstances, if you are not, if you feel like you're confined. You may become angry where you feel like you're restricted, like there's limitations on your life and you can't do what you really want to do. Or you're frustrated and angry because you don't even know what you want to do. And you just feel like, oh, life sucks. And 9 times out of 10, if those feelings are there, it's because you're not in alignment. Okay. In addition to that, you may have this certain idea or aspect of how you were taught or raised to be, and you want to be this representative of that. You've embodied it. You've been taught this. This is the way of life. This is just how life goes. This is how life works. This is what I was taught to be, and that's what you do. And you're living out of alignment of what your destiny or your fulfillment or purpose is supposed to be, because you're doing something based on social constructs or tradition, um, social values or customs. And you're supposed to be something totally different than that. And it really challenges your authenticity, because then you're not really being true to yourself, true to your nature and your energy. And then you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then you're going to be unhappy, because you're not in alignment. Okay, so I really wanted to make this brief. I know I was probably all over the place. One of the first things I thought about was human design, so I wanted to share that. You may want to look into that. Again, I'm not an expert in it, but I can read energy, and I know a lot of people, the ones that I came up with as far as the feelings that you would feel when you're not in alignment, or indicators you're not in alignment: exhaustion, fatigue, bitterness, dissatisfaction, resentful, anger, feeling disappointed, Um, I want to get a physical energy that you would actually feel, because I did say exhaustion. Um, Feeling like there's always something more, right? That's a desire, like an unfulfilled desire, feeling empty, feeling unfulfilled. Another thing that can be you're not in alignment is there's a lack. Usually the lack shows up in the physical when there's a lack within the spirit area, in the energetic fields. So if you um, are not getting by, you feel like you're struggling, there may be some issues with alignment. Now, I know things unfold certain ways for certain people, so sometimes you have to go through certain experiences. Um, a lot of people don't talk about that. They always think that everything is easy peasy all the time, but it's not. Again, because we're experiencing a human experience, right? We're living a real time experience of being a human. We're going to have some challenges, but it shouldn't be something long lasting, as far as if you're really purposeful and meaningful as far as your life, and you're making the necessary steps to be aligned. So you may experience some financial difficulty, you may experience some stability issues, but a lot of times it's geared is something that is on an energetic level that needs to be rectified. Some of us are dealing with karmic issues, where it may be past life, it may be this life, whatever we put in motion, whether we recognize it or not. There are some things that have to play out a certain way, or you have to fulfill or dismantle in your life that is karmic. It may be generational attachments, aka generational curses, that are very real, where you have connected yourself to certain energies, or accepted ancestral karma and signed off on a contract to fulfill, for this particular generation or generations. There may be subconscious blockages where you actually feel limited, but really those limitations are brought upon self. There's self-induced limitations, okay? Self-limiting beliefs. Um, there may be attachments through connections that you've had, whether it's someone put hexes or curses. And I'm gonna put this out there. Yes, that is out there. Yes, that does happen, but it usually doesn't happen unless you're open and available to accept and receive that. If your energy is at the right level, those things won't happen. They won't penetrate your aura. They will bounce off. If you're doing your spiritual protection, if you are uh, not thinking lowly of yourself, or and thinking that anybody can do anything to you, if you're in the mind state of someone can harm you or attack you or do anything to you, like a wrongdoing, anything that is against you, you will be susceptible to the energy of being hexed or cursed in those type of circumstances. Um, so there's levels to it, okay? There's level to it. So like energetic blockages or what have you usually comes from attachments or from deities or beings. That is really real. Especially if you're playing with magic and you don't know what you're doing, or if you do know what you're doing. Um, there's universal laws that are established that you have to honor, and if you go against that, then you put yourself in certain circumstances that are not good. Okay, so again, this is a video regarding key indications that you are not in alignment, how to identify those things in real life, like human experiences, how to identify those things. I gave you a few examples. I went actually deeper than what I expected, and that's even on the energetic level, as far as attachments and contracts. Okay, so again, I'm Amethyst Goddess from InAlignment Ministries. Be well. Take care.